My beloved child, do not look away. Do not let this moment pass as though it were just another voice competing for your attention. I urge you to listen, because what you are about to hear carries the weight of my love, my patience, and my desire to draw you close. You may think this is simply another message, another video, another fleeting moment in your day. But I tell you, your heart was led here for a reason. This is not an accident. This is not a coincidence. There is a purpose behind your pause, and I have been waiting for this very moment to speak to you. Perhaps you have felt like heaven had been quiet. Perhaps you have searched for answers and found only silence. You have wondered if I still see you, if I still hear your prayers, if I am still working in the middle of your waiting. My child, I have seen every tear you hid from the world. I have heard every prayer you whispered when no one else was listening. I have walked beside you through every disappointment, every delay, every battle you thought you had to fight alone. Even when you could not sense my presence, I never left your side. That is why I am urging you now. Not because I delight in fear or urgency, but because I love you too much to let you miss what your spirit hath been longing to hear. There are moments in life when distractions become louder than truth, when busyness drowns out peace, and when discouragement convinces you that my voice has grown distant. But my voice has never stopped calling your name. It has been reaching for you through the noise, through the confusion, through every season that tried to pull your heart away from me. If you choose to leave now, you may walk away from the very encouragement you have been praying for. You may miss the clarity that could steady your next step, the comfort that could lift the burden you have silently carried, or the reminder that you are deeply loved even in your weakest moments. But if you stay, if you listen with an open heart instead of a hurried mind, you may discover that the answers you have been chasing are found not in striving harder, but in hearing my voice once again. You may find peace where anxiety has lived, hope where disappointment has settled, and courage where fear has tried to take root. Beloved, I know you are tired. I know there have been days when your faith felt fragile and your questions felt endless. I know there were moments you wondered if your story still mattered. Hear me now, I have never forgotten you. I have never stopped pursuing you. Every step that brought you here hath been known to me, and every chapter ahead is still held securely in my hands. So quiet the noise around you. Set aside your doubts for these next few moments. Listen not only with your ears, but with your spirit. What follows is not merely a collection of words. It is an invitation to draw near, to remember who you are, and to hear what I have been longing to tell you all along. And now, my child, receive the message I have placed before you, and let your heart be ready for what comes next. My child, I know you almost kept scrolling. Part of you thought this would be just another message passing through your day, something temporary that would disappear from your mind a few moments later. But something inside you hesitated. You paused without fully understanding why, and now you are here listening to my voice. That moment matters more than you realize. I know the condition of your heart right now better than anyone around you does. I know how tired you have become from carrying thoughts you rarely speak about. You have spent so much time trying to keep moving forward that you barely notice how emotionally drained you really are. You have learned how to hide your struggles behind routines, responsibilities, conversations, and distractions. Other people may see your smile, but they do not see the pressure building inside you when everything becomes quiet again. There are nights when your thoughts grow heavier than you admit. You replay disappointments in your mind. You wonder whether your life is actually moving somewhere meaningful or if you are simply surviving one day at a time. I have been with you in every one of those moments, even when you felt disconnected from me. That is why I brought you here now. Not to pressure you, not to condemn you, I wanted you to stop long enough to realize that you are not as alone as you have been feeling lately. Your soul has been craving rest, but you kept searching for it in temporary things that could never truly heal what is happening deeper inside you. You tried staying busy. You tried distracting yourself. You tried convincing yourself that eventually the emptiness would fade on its own. But your heart keeps returning to the same ache because it was never meant to live disconnected from me. I know there are parts of your story you still carry quietly. Certain disappointments changed the way you trusted people. Certain prayers felt unanswered for so long that you stopped expecting much anymore. Even your hope became more cautious. You started protecting yourself emotionally because you became tired of being hurt. But I never stopped watching over you through all of it. Some things that felt like rejection were actually protection. Some delays that frustrated you were keeping you from paths that would have wounded you even more deeply later. You do not have to pretend with me, my child. I already see the exhaustion, the confusion, and the fear you try to hide from everyone else. Yet none of those things make me pull away from you. I am still reaching for your heart even now. The fact that you stopped here today is not random. Your spirit recognized something your mind could not fully explain yet. I'm calling you closer because there are things inside you that need healing, and this moment may become the beginning of something far more important than you realize right now. My child, there is a reason you feel unsettled even during moments when your life appears calm on the outside. You keep trying to move forward, trying to convince yourself that if you stay productive enough or distracted enough, the heaviness inside you will eventually disappear. Yet every time the noise fades and you are finally alone with your thoughts, something inside you still feels incomplete. You notice it during quiet drives, late nights, or moments when your smile slowly fades after everyone else leaves the room. That restlessness is not weakness, and it is not something you should keep bearing beneath busyness. I want you to stop running from it for a moment and let yourself hear what your soul has been trying to tell you. You were never created to survive only on appearances. You were not designed to carry emotional exhaustion behind polite conversations while pretending everything is under control. I see how hard you try to maintain that image. I see how you push yourself through days when your mind already feels crowded before the morning even begins. You have become skilled at functioning while quietly falling apart inside. But I did not bring you this far just to leave you emotionally stranded in your own thoughts. Come closer to me now and pay attention to what is happening in your heart. The emptiness you keep feeling is not because you are failing. It is because your spirit hath been starving for something deeper than temporary comfort. You searched for peace in achievement, relationships, entertainment, routines, and distractions, but none of those things could fully settle the ache within you. Some moments gave you relief for a little while, but the quiet eventually returned, and so did the same questions you keep trying to avoid. I know you have wondered why certain victories still felt empty after you reached them. You expected some moments to heal you completely, but instead you were left feeling strangely untouched inside. That confusion has exhausted you more than you admit. Part of you keeps asking, why do I still feel this way? Listen carefully, my child. Your heart was never meant to live disconnected from the one who created it. You cannot pour endless energy into everyone else while neglecting the condition of your own soul. So stop for a moment. Breathe deeply and let your guard down with me. You do not have to keep pretending that you are stronger than you feel. Bring your restless thoughts to me instead of hiding them behind distractions that only delay your healing. Let me into the places inside you that you avoid confronting. I am not afraid of your questions, your weariness, or your emotional scars. Open your heart honestly and allow me to show you that peace is not something you force yourself to feel. Real peace begins when you stop resisting my presence and finally allow yourself to be held by it. My child, You have been tired in ways that sleep alone cannot fix. Your body may rest at night, but your mind keeps carrying weight long after the day is over. You wake up already thinking about responsibilities, worries, unfinished conversations, disappointments, and fears about what could go wrong next. Some days you move through life almost automatically, handling everything expected of you while quietly wondering how much longer you can keep doing this without breaking inside. I know you rarely say those thoughts out loud. You have trained yourself to keep functioning even when your spirit feels worn thin. People around you may not realize how much pressure you carry because you learned how to hide your exhaustion beneath normal routines. You answer messages. You fulfill obligations. You continue showing up. But deep down, there are moments when you feel emotionally numb from constantly carrying more than your heart was meant to hold alone. I have watched you sit in silence after long days, staring into space while your thoughts spiral in directions you cannot fully explain. You have tried to stay strong for so long that you barely remember what true rest feels like anymore. Listen to me carefully now. I never asked you to carry your entire life without leaning on me. Somewhere along the way, you started believing you had to manage every burden by yourself. You became afraid of slowing down because stopping would force you to face emotions you have been pushing aside for months, maybe even years. But avoiding your pain has not healed it. It has only buried it deeper inside you. I want you to stop treating your soul like a machine that should endlessly endure pressure without care. Sit with me here for a moment and be honest about how tired you really are. Not just physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally. I already know the parts of you that feel close to burnout. I know the frustration you feel when your heart wants peace, but your mind refuses to quiet down. I know the loneliness that appears when you feel misunderstood by people around you. Yet even in this exhaustion, I have not abandoned you. I am still reaching toward you with gentleness, not disappointment. So release your grip for a moment, my child. Stop trying to control every possible outcome. Stop carrying tomorrow before it even arrives. Let me hold the fears you keep replaying in your head. Bring me the pressure you hide behind your smile. You do not have to earn rest from me. You do not need perfect faith before you come closer. Just open your heart honestly and allow yourself to admit what you have been too exhausted to say. Healing begins when you stop pretending you are fine and finally allow yourself to be cared for. My child, there have been moments recently when you felt yourself slipping emotionally in ways you could not fully explain to anyone around you. You tried to stay composed. You tried to keep your responsibilities together. You kept telling yourself you just needed a little more strength, a little more patience, a little more time. But underneath all of that effort, your heart has been carrying fear that things inside you are slowly unraveling. Some nights you sit alone with thoughts that feel heavier than you expected them to feel. You replay conversations, disappointments, mistakes, and worries about your future until your mind becomes crowded and restless. I have seen every one of those moments, even the ones nobody else knows exist. When you feel like you are falling apart, you often assume heaven must see you as weak or disappointing. That is not how I look at you. I do not stare at your struggle with frustration. I look at you with compassion because I know how much pressure you have silently endured. I know the emotional weight you carry from old wounds that still affect the way you think about yourself. I know there are situations that damage your trust, and now you struggle to fully relax because part of your heart stays guarded all the time. Even while smiling with other people, you are often bracing yourself internally for disappointment before it even happens. Come closer and listen carefully to me now. Your breaking point is not proof that you failed me. Sometimes the strongest people are the ones who become exhausted because they kept carrying too much for too long without letting themselves be comforted. You were never meant to survive entirely on your own strength. That is why I keep inviting you back toward me, even during the moments when you feel emotionally scattered and spiritually distant. Stop resisting your need for healing, my child. Stop convincing yourself that you must hold everything together perfectly before you deserve peace. I already know the thoughts you hide. I already understand the tears you fight back when nobody is looking. Yet I have not turned away from you for any of it. In fact, I have stayed closer to you during your weakest moments than you realize. Some nights, when you felt completely alone, my presence was the only reason your heart kept enduring what should have broken you completely. So breathe slowly now and release the pressure to pretend. Let your walls come down here with me. Bring me the confusion, the frustration, and the emotional exhaustion you keep trying to carry privately. You do not need polished words. You do not need perfect faith. I am asking for honesty, not performance. Open your heart and let me meet you inside the places that hurt. I still see beauty, value, and purpose in you, even when you struggle to see those things in yourself. My child, if this message is reaching the parts of your heart you thought nobody could see, then do not ignore the assignment I am placing before you right now. There are wounded souls wandering through silent battles just like yours, waiting for one word of light to pull them back from despair. Every time you give through Super Thanks, become a member, or so through the PayPal link in the description, you are pouring oil into a lamp that keeps my voice burning in dark places. Have I not told you that those who sow beside living waters will not run dry? I am using this channel like bread multiplied in my hands, feeding hearts that are starving for comfort, truth, and peace. The compassion I poured over your wounds was never meant to stop with you alone. If your spirit feels my presence here, then this is not coincidence. This is your moment to help carry my word farther than you can see. So now, support this mission through Super Thanks, membership, or the PayPal link in the description, and watch how I breathe favor, protection, and unexpected provision back into your life. My child, you have been carrying burdens that were slowly becoming part of your identity without even realizing it. At first, you thought you were simply dealing with difficult seasons, but over time the stress settled deeper into your spirit. Now you move through life with tension that rarely leaves your mind. You wake up already preparing yourself emotionally for problems before the day even begins. You have become so used to carrying pressure that you barely remember what inner calm used to feel like. I want you to stop for a moment and recognize how much your soul has been trying to survive beneath all of that weight. You have spent a long time trying to manage everything quietly. You carry concerns about your future. You carry disappointments from your past. You carry conversations that wounded you more deeply than you admit. You carry guilt for things you wish you handled differently. You carry fear about whether your life will ever fully change. Even while talking to other people, your mind often feels crowded with thoughts you cannot fully shut off. And because you have been carrying these things for so long, you started believing this heaviness is simply who you are now. But I never created you to live crushed beneath constant emotional pressure. Listen to me carefully and let these words settle deeply inside you. Some of the weight you are carrying was never assigned to you in the first place. You accepted responsibility for outcomes you cannot control. You absorbed the emotional damage caused by other people's choices. You kept replaying painful moments, hoping your mind could somehow change what already happened. Meanwhile, your heart became exhausted from trying to carry burdens that should have been brought to me much earlier. I know part of you fears letting go because pain can strangely become familiar after enough time. You learned how to function while hurting. You learned how to smile while quietly overwhelmed inside. But functioning is not the same as healing, my child. I do not want you merely surviving your life while your spirit slowly grows colder beneath the surface. I want you to experience freedom from the pressure that has been draining your joy and peace for far too long. So stop here with me now. Be still for a moment and pay attention to what your soul has been trying to say underneath all the noise. Bring me the fears you keep hiding behind productivity. Bring me the sadness you rarely discuss openly. Bring me the pressure that sits heavily on your chest when everything becomes quiet at night. You do not have to solve every problem before coming to me. You do not need to carry tomorrow in your mind before it even arrives. Release your grip little by little and allow me to hold what has been crushing your heart. Peace begins when you finally stop trying to carry alone what was always meant to be surrendered. My child, I know there are still moments when you look back at certain closed doors and quietly wonder why I allowed them to shut after you prayed so sincerely for them to open. You asked with hope. You waited with expectation. You believed some opportunities, relationships, or plans would finally become the answer to the emptiness and frustration you had been carrying. Then everything changed direction without warning, and you were left standing inside confusion that felt painfully personal. I saw how deeply those disappointments affected you. I saw how you questioned yourself afterward. Part of you wondered whether you failed, whether you were overlooked, or whether your prayers somehow were not enough. Come closer and listen carefully now, because I need you to understand something your pain made difficult to see at the time. Not every closed door was punishment. Some doors closed because I could see consequences your emotions could not yet recognize. You were looking at certain situations through the lens of longing, exhaustion, and loneliness. Meanwhile, I could already see the damage hidden further ahead on those roads. Some people entered your life carrying charm on the surface but confusion underneath. Some opportunities looked promising while quietly leading you toward greater emptiness later. I did not close those doors to deprive you, my child. I closed them because I love you too much to hand you something that would eventually wound your spirit more deeply. I know rejection can make you feel small. It can leave you replaying moments in your head, wondering what you should have done differently. You tried to make sense of things that suddenly disappeared from your hands. There were nights when you sat quietly asking me why you kept losing things you cared about. But I need you to stop measuring my love for you by whether every desire immediately works out the way you hoped it would. Sometimes protection feels painful before it becomes understandable. Look honestly at your heart for a moment. There are situations you once begged me for that would have emotionally crushed you if they fully unfolded. There are relationships that would have drained your peace until you barely recognize yourself anymore. There are paths that looked exciting but would have slowly pulled you away from the person I am trying to shape you into. You cannot always see danger while you are emotionally attached to something. That is why I need you to trust me even during seasons when answers feel delayed or hidden. So release your bitterness now, my child. Stop staring endlessly at what closed behind you and begin paying attention to what I may still be protecting within you. Let yourself grieve honestly, but do not build your identity around disappointment. Open your hands instead of clenching them tightly around what already passed. Invite me into your confusion. Ask me to heal the wounds rejection left behind. The story of your life is not ending at the doors that closed. Sometimes the greatest mercy arrives disguised as a painful goodbye. My child, one of the hardest things for you to endure has been waiting through seasons where nothing seemed to move no matter how deeply you prayed. You asked me for direction, healing, clarity, change, and relief, yet there were long stretches where your life felt painfully still. During those moments, your mind started filling with quiet questions you rarely spoke aloud. You wondered if I still heard you. You wondered if maybe you had somehow drifted too far away from me. Waiting became exhausting because silence often feels personal when your heart is already hurting. I know how easy it became for you to confuse delay with abandonment. When days turn into months and situations remain unresolved, disappointment slowly starts shaping the way you interpret everything around you. You begin expecting letdowns before hope even has a chance to grow. That emotional fatigue changes the way you pray, the way you dream, and even the way you see yourself. Some part of you stopped fully expecting good things because disappointment taught you to protect your heart from future pain. But sit with me here for a moment and listen carefully to what I need you to understand. My silence was never absence. Just because you could not immediately see movement does not mean I stopped working in your life. There were things happening beneath the surface that you were never meant to carry awareness of all at once. While you were focusing on what had not changed yet, I was still shaping your heart, redirecting your path, softening certain areas within you, and protecting you from outcomes you did not fully understand. You often want immediate answers because uncertainty feels uncomfortable. I understand that. But if I instantly fulfilled every desire at the exact moment you requested it, many things would arrive before your spirit was emotionally prepared to carry them wisely. Some blessings require growth before they become safe to hold. Some prayers require timing you cannot yet see clearly from where you stand today. Delay is not proof that I forgot you, my child. Sometimes delay is evidence that I am carefully preparing something deeper than what you originally asked for. I know waiting has tired your heart. I know there were moments when you nearly stopped believing anything meaningful would ever change. Yet even during those discouraged seasons, I stayed close beside you. I watched every tear, every frustrated prayer, every attempt you made to keep trusting me while your emotions battled against hope. None of that struggle was invisible to me. So stop assuming your waiting means you were abandoned. Lift your eyes beyond what you cannot yet understand. Invite me into your uncertainty instead of pulling away from me emotionally. Continue walking forward even when the full picture has not become visible yet. Trust does not grow strongest during easy moments. It grows quietly during seasons where you choose to keep holding my hand before you have all the answers. My child, there have been moments when loneliness settled over your life so quietly that even you struggled to recognize how deeply it was affecting you. You stayed surrounded by conversations, responsibilities, and routines, yet inside you still felt disconnected in ways you could not fully explain. Sometimes you blamed yourself for it. Sometimes you convinced yourself you simply needed stronger people around you or different circumstances. But the ache followed you into crowded rooms and silent nights alike. That is because loneliness is not always about being physically alone. Sometimes it grows inside a heart that feels unseen, emotionally guarded, and spiritually distant all at once. I know how much you long to feel understood without having to explain every wound you carry. You became tired of showing only the polished parts of yourself while hiding the confusion, disappointment, and emotional fatigue underneath. There were times you reached for connection, only to walk away feeling even more misunderstood afterward. Those experiences slowly taught you to protect your heart instead of opening it honestly. Little by little, you began isolating parts of yourself emotionally, even when people were standing close beside you. But stay here with me for a moment and listen carefully. Your loneliness had been revealing something deeper than simple emptiness. It has been exposing how much your soul longs for real closeness, real peace, and real understanding. You kept trying to silence that ache through distractions, endless scrolling, noise, entertainment, or temporary comfort. But none of those things stayed long enough to satisfy what your spirit was truly asking for. Your heart was searching for rest while your mind kept settling for escape instead. Do not run from this realization, my child. Sit with it honestly. Let yourself acknowledge how much emotional distance has shaped the way you live now. You have become careful with trust because pain taught you caution. You hesitate before fully opening your heart because disappointment made vulnerability feel dangerous. But I never intended for your life to become emotionally cold simply because you were wounded before. Come closer now. Stop treating your loneliness like something shameful that must remain hidden. Bring it into the light with me. Tell me honestly where you feel disconnected, weary, and emotionally starved. I am not asking you to pretend you are stronger than you feel. I am asking you to let me meet you inside the emptiness you keep trying to outrun. Let my presence reach the places where isolation has quietly hardened your heart. You do not need to earn closeness with me. You already have my attention. Even during the nights when you felt forgotten, I remained near you. Even when you withdrew emotionally from others, I continued speaking gently to your spirit. So stop numbing your loneliness and start listening to what it had been revealing. Your heart was never meant to survive disconnected from love, truth, and peace. Open the door instead of hiding behind it. Let yourself be seen by me fully, because healing begins where honesty finally replaces emotional hiding. My child, your loneliness was never meant to end in silence. It was meant to awaken compassion for the countless hearts still hiding in darkness tonight. There are people scrolling through hopeless nights right now, praying for one sign that I still see them, and I am using messages like this to reach them before despair hardens their hearts completely. Every seed you release through Super Thanks membership, where the PayPal link in the description becomes part of a greater harvest of healing, restoration, and truth. Did I not say that those who refresh others will themselves be refreshed? The enemy wants people isolated, numb, and spiritually asleep. But I am raising voices that carry living water into dry places. You not treat this moment casually, because your generosity is becoming a doorway through which my presence reaches broken souls across the earth. I see every act of obedience, and I will multiply what is surrendered into my hands like rivers overflowing in drought. Act now. Support this mission through Super Thanks membership, where the PayPal link in the description, and become part of the light I am releasing into weary hearts. My child, have you noticed how certain quiet moments keep pulling your thoughts back toward me no matter how distracted your life becomes? You can spend hours filling your mind with noise, responsibilities, conversations, or entertainment, yet eventually there comes a moment when everything slows down and something inside you starts reaching for me again. It happens unexpectedly sometimes, during a late drive, while lying awake at night, in the middle of an ordinary day when your thoughts suddenly become deeper than usual. You may try to move past it quickly, but the feeling keeps returning because your spirit recognizes what your mind keeps trying to postpone. I know there were seasons when you drifted emotionally. You became overwhelmed by life, disappointed by people, frustrated by unanswered prayers, and exhausted by carrying silent battles alone. Part of you slowly stopped expecting closeness with me because pain made your heart cautious. Yet even during those distant moments, I never stopped drawing near to you. My presence continued reaching through the noise because I understand something you often forget in your hardest seasons. Your soul cannot fully rest anywhere else. You have searched for comfort in many directions. Some things distracted you temporarily. Some relationships made you feel understood for a while. Some habits helped you avoid deeper emotions temporarily. But eventually the emptiness returned because your spirit was asking for something deeper than temporary relief. That is why those quiet moments matter so much, my child. They expose the truth beneath all the distractions. They reveal the part of your heart that still longs for peace, clarity, forgiveness, and real connection with me. Do not ignore those moments anymore. Stop brushing them aside as random emotions. Pay attention when your spirit starts pulling you toward stillness. Come sit with me instead of immediately reaching for another distraction to silence what you feel. Let your thoughts settle long enough for my voice to reach deeper inside you. I am not trying to condemn you for the ways you drifted. I am inviting you back into closeness before your heart grows even more exhausted from carrying life without spiritual rest. You do not need perfect words when you come to me. You do not need polished prayers or flawless faith. I simply want your honesty. Tell me where you feel lost. Tell me where disappointment hardened you. Tell me where fear keeps controlling your thoughts. Bring your real heart into my presence instead of only showing me the version of yourself you think sounds spiritually strong. Stay near me now, my child. Resist the urge to run back into noise every time silence begins revealing what is happening inside your soul. Those quiet moments are not accidents. They are invitations. I keep drawing your heart back toward me because I know how deeply you need the peace that only my presence can truly give you. My child, I know there are still names and faces that quietly return to your mind when you least expect it. Some people left suddenly. Others faded slowly until the connection barely existed anymore. You tried to understand what happened. You replayed conversations, searched for explanations, and questioned whether you could have done something differently to keep certain relationships from breaking apart. Some losses wounded you more deeply than you admitted to anyone. You smiled through the pain while privately carrying confusion that settled heavily inside your heart. I watched you grieve people you thought would remain beside you much longer. I saw how rejection changed the way you trusted others afterward. Part of you became more guarded because disappointment taught you that closeness can quickly become heartbreak. Since then, you have struggled to fully relax emotionally around people. Even when someone cares about you, a quiet fear still whispers that eventually they may leave too. That fear has shaped more of your decisions than you realize. But come closer and listen carefully now because I need you to understand something difficult yet necessary. Not everyone who entered your life was meant to continue walking into your future. Some people were connected to a chapter, not your entire journey. You kept trying to hold on to certain relationships because you feared loneliness, but I could already see where those paths would eventually lead your spirit. Some people carried unresolved darkness that slowly drained your peace. Others kept pulling you further away from the healing and growth I was trying to create inside you. You were grieving endings while I was protecting your future. Do not misunderstand me, my child. I know their absence hurt deeply. I know some departures felt like pieces of your identity were being torn away. But pain does not always mean something was meant to stay forever. Sometimes love requires release. Sometimes protection arrives disguised as separation. You were trying to preserve connections that were quietly exhausting your soul. Meanwhile, I was creating space in your life for deeper healing, clearer vision, and healthier relationships later. Stop blaming yourself for every goodbye. Stop carrying shame for situations that required distance in order for your heart to survive. Some people could not follow where I am leading you because they were attached to versions of you that were built around fear, insecurity, or emotional dependence. You are changing, even if the process feels uncomfortable right now. So loosen your grip on the past, my child. Do not spend your life standing at closed doors hoping certain people return exactly as they were before. Invite me into the wounds those relationships left behind. Let me heal the places where rejection distorted your confidence and trust. Open your heart carefully again instead of allowing bitterness to harden it permanently. I removed certain people because I love you, not because I abandoned you. Trust me enough to believe that some endings were necessary so your soul could finally breathe again. My child, there have been many moments when you felt something inside you quietly warning you, guiding you, or pulling you in a different direction. Yet you kept trying to silence it because listening would have required uncomfortable honesty. You felt those inner nudges during conversations, decisions, relationships, and private habits. Deep down, You already sensed when something was draining your peace or leading your heart further away from who you truly are. But instead of slowing down and paying attention, you often distracted yourself long enough for the feeling to fade temporarily. I understand why you did it. Facing truth can feel frightening when your emotions are already exhausted. Sometimes it feels easier to stay busy than to confront what your spirit has been trying to reveal. Yet every time you ignore that inner voice long enough, your soul becomes more restless. Confusion increases. Peace fades more quickly. You begin making choices from emotional survival instead of wisdom. Little by little, your heart grows numb to the very guidance meant to protect you. Come sit with me honestly for a moment and stop running from this conversation. You already know there were times when your spirit was warning you before pain arrived. You sensed when certain people carried unhealthy intentions. You felt uneasiness before making choices that later wounded your peace. You recognized when your heart was becoming spiritually distant, emotionally cold, or trapped in patterns that slowly drained your joy. But instead of listening closely, you kept convincing yourself you would deal with it later. My child, I do not speak to control you. I speak because I care about the direction of your soul. The quiet conviction you feel inside is not meant to shame you. It is meant to awaken you before emotional damage deepens further. When you repeatedly ignore your spirit, you slowly lose sensitivity to truth. Eventually you can become so distracted, so emotionally overloaded, and so spiritually numb that you barely recognize the difference between peace and chaos anymore. That is why I am asking you now to stop and listen again. Turn down the noise around your life for a little while. Put aside the endless distractions that keep your mind crowded every hour of the day. Sit quietly with me and pay attention to what your spirit has been trying to tell you beneath all the pressure and confusion. Be honest about the patterns that are draining you. Be honest about the relationships, habits, and thoughts that keep stealing your peace. Do not harden your heart further, my child. Open yourself to correction before numbness grows deeper. Invite me back into the places where compromise slowly entered your life. I am not turning away from you because you ignored me before. I am still speaking now because I love you too much to leave you lost inside your own confusion. Listen carefully this time. Your healing begins the moment you stop drowning out the voice inside you that has been trying to lead you back toward life. My child, there is a part of you that has become deeply exhausted from pretending you are handling everything better than you truly are. You have spent so much time telling people I'm fine that sometimes even you no longer know how to answer honestly when someone asks how you are doing. You learned how to smile through pressure, how to continue showing up while your heart quietly struggled underneath the surface. But carrying hidden pain for too long changes something inside a person. It slowly drains joy from places that once felt alive. It makes simple moments feel heavier than they should. I see that happening inside you, even when nobody else notices it clearly. You became skilled at surviving emotionally while avoiding what was actually hurting you. Instead of resting, you stayed busy. Instead of slowing down, you distracted yourself. You filled your days because silence often made your thoughts louder. But your soul has been trying to tell you something important for a long time now. You cannot heal while constantly pretending there is nothing wrong. You cannot experience real peace while hiding every fragile part of yourself behind emotional walls built from fear, pride, or disappointment. Come closer and stop resisting honesty with me. I already know the thoughts you keep burying beneath your routines. I know the frustration you carry about your life, your relationships, your mistakes, and the fears you rarely speak aloud. There are moments when you feel emotionally worn thin, yet you keep forcing yourself forward because you are afraid of what might happen if you finally let yourself feel everything honestly. But listen carefully, my child. Avoiding your pain has not protected you from it. It has only made you lonelier inside it. I am not asking you to collapse beneath your emotions. I'm asking you to stop carrying them alone. Sit quietly with me for a moment and let your heart breathe without pretending. Admit where you feel tired. Admit where disappointment changed the way you see yourself. Admit where fear has quietly stolen your confidence and peace. You do not need polished prayers or perfect words to come near me. Bring me the version of yourself that feels overwhelmed, confused, uncertain, and emotionally drained. That is the heart I want to comfort right now. Stop performing strength for everyone around you. Stop believing your value depends on how well you hide your struggles. I never loved you because you appeared strong. I loved you long before you learned how to protect yourself emotionally. Let my presence reach the places inside you that have been starving for gentleness and truth. You do not have to keep pretending everything is okay in order to deserve love, peace, or healing. Open your heart honestly now, my child. Healing begins when truth finally becomes more important than maintaining appearances. My child, the world has enough performances, but very few are willing to help carry truth that reaches people beneath their masks. Right now, there are exhausted souls pretending everything is fine while quietly collapsing inside, and I am sending messages like this directly into their hidden pain. When you support this work through Super Thanks, membership, or the PayPal link in the description, you are helping my voice travel into places where fear, anxiety, and hopelessness have tried to take control. Every seed you sow becomes fire on a lampstand, pushing back darkness for someone who almost gave up. Have I not promised that whatever is poured out in love for my kingdom will return pressed down, shaken together, and overflowing? This is not merely support for a video. This is participation in a divine rescue assignment unfolding across countless unseen lives. I am calling those who can hear my voice to stop hesitating and become part of the harvest I am gathering in this hour. Give now through Super Thanks, membership, or the PayPal link in the description, and I will honor the obedience that flows from your heart. My child, I know there were moments recently when you wondered why life became heavy enough to push you toward emotional exhaustion. You kept asking yourself why things had to become this difficult before anything started changing inside you. Part of you thought if I truly cared about your heart, I would have stopped certain pressures before they reached this point. But I need you to sit with me honestly now and look deeper at what has been happening beneath the surface of your life. This breaking point did not arrive because I abandoned you. It arrived because too much inside you had been silently ignored for too long. You kept pushing through pain without fully facing it. You kept carrying emotional wounds while convincing yourself they were manageable. You kept tolerating things that slowly drained your peace because part of you feared change more than exhaustion. Little by little, your soul became overwhelmed beneath pressure you were never meant to normalize. Yet instead of slowing down, you continued trying to survive through willpower alone. I watched you keep functioning while your inner life quietly weakened beneath the strain. Sometimes a breaking point becomes the moment where honesty finally enters the room. When everything feels stable, people often avoid confronting deeper issues inside themselves. But pressure exposes what comfort can easily hide. Your exhaustion revealed how emotionally overburdened you truly became. Your anxiety revealed how much fear had quietly shaped your thinking. Your loneliness revealed how disconnected your heart had become from real rest and closeness with me. None of this was meant to destroy you, my child. It was exposing what desperately needed healing before your soul drifted even further into numbness. Do not fear this moment. Stop viewing your emotional struggle as proof that you are weak or forgotten. Instead, allow this season to wake you up spiritually. Let it show you where you have been carrying too much alone. Let it reveal the habits, relationships, and thought patterns that have slowly been stealing your peace. You cannot heal what you refuse to acknowledge honestly. Come sit with me now without defensiveness. Lay down the pressure to appear composed all the time. Let your heart admit what it has been too afraid to say openly. You are tired. You are overwhelmed. You are emotionally stretched thinner than people realize. And still, I have not turned away from you. I am meeting you right here at the place where your strength feels insufficient, because this is often where surrender finally becomes possible. Stop fighting so hard to hold yourself together without me, my child. Invite me into the areas where your soul feels cracked, weary, and unstable. Do not waste this painful season by only trying to escape it quickly. Let it teach you where healing is needed most deeply. Your breaking point may become the very place where your heart finally learns how to rest safely in my hands again. My child, there are decisions you made recently that were shaped more by fear than you fully realized at the time. Fear does not always arrive loudly. Sometimes it moves quietly beneath your thoughts until it slowly begins controlling the way you live. It convinces you to stay emotionally guarded even when your heart longs for connection. It teaches you to expect disappointment before something new even begins. It keeps you overthinking simple choices because part of you is terrified of making another mistake that leaves you wounded again. I have watched how this fear has slowly affected your peace, your confidence, and the way you see your future. You did not become fearful overnight. Certain experiences train your heart to stay alert all the time. Being taught you caution. Betrayal made trust feel dangerous. Delays and disappointments made hope feel risky. Little by little, your mind began preparing for loss before joy even had the chance to arrive. You started protecting yourself emotionally by avoiding vulnerability, avoiding change, and sometimes even avoiding the deeper dreams I placed inside you. It felt safer to expect less than to risk heartbreak again. But come closer now and listen carefully to me. Fear may feel protective for a moment, but eventually it becomes a prison around your spirit. It keeps you emotionally stuck between longing for more and being too afraid to fully move forward. You hesitate before trusting. You hesitate before surrendering. You hesitate before believing your life could genuinely become different. Meanwhile, your soul grows tired from constantly carrying tension that was never meant to rule your thoughts every day. I do not want you living under the shadow of constant anxiety, my child. I did not create you to spend your life bracing yourself for worst-case scenarios. Fear will keep showing you images of failure, rejection, and disappointment until you eventually stop expecting goodness altogether. That is why I need you to stop feeding it quietly through endless overthinking and emotional withdrawal. Bring your fears into the light with me instead of allowing them to secretly direct your choices from behind the scenes. Sit honestly with me now. Name the fears you keep avoiding. Admit where fear has stolen your peace, your courage, and your ability to rest emotionally. You do not need to pretend bravery before coming to me. I already know how exhausted your mind has become from carrying invisible tension every day. Let me meet you inside those anxious places instead of hiding them beneath control and self-protection. Take my hand now and loosen your grip on the need to predict every possible outcome. You cannot heal while fear remains the loudest voice guiding your life. Open your heart to trust again, even if it feels unfamiliar at first. I am not asking you to ignore wisdom. I am asking you to stop allowing fear to quietly become your master. Let my peace interrupt the panic that has been shaping your thoughts for too long. There is more waiting for you beyond the walls fear convinced you to build around your heart. My child, there are moments when you look at yourself through eyes shaped more by shame than by truth. You replay mistakes, failures, and painful memories until they begin defining how you see your own worth. Even when other people speak kindly to you, There are parts of your heart that quietly resist believing you are still valuable, still lovable, or still capable of becoming whole again. Shame has a way of attaching itself silently to your identity until you begin carrying it everywhere without even noticing how deeply it affects you. I know there are memories you wish you could erase completely. Certain choices still make your stomach tighten when you think about them. Certain seasons of your life left emotional scars that continue shaping the way you speak to yourself internally. Sometimes you punish yourself in quiet ways without realizing it. You lower your expectations. You sabotage opportunities. You withdraw emotionally. You settle for less than you deserve because somewhere deep inside you no longer fully believe good things truly belong to you anymore. Come sit with me honestly for a moment and stop hiding behind shame. I need you to understand something clearly. Shame keeps your eyes fixed on your worst moments while ignoring everything I still see inside you. It magnifies failure until you forget grace exists at all. It whispers that your past permanently damaged your future. But that voice is not speaking truth to you, my child. I never intended for your mistakes to become chains around your identity forever. You have carried guilt for so long that part of you became emotionally attached to self-condemnation. It almost feels safer to criticize yourself before anyone else can. But listen carefully now. Constantly tearing yourself apart internally does not heal your soul. It only deepens the wounds already hurting inside you. I want you to stop speaking to yourself with cruelty disguised as honesty. I want you to stop assuming your lowest moments reveal your entire worth as a person. Bring your shame into the light with me instead of burying it deeper inside your heart. Tell me honestly what memories still haunt you. Tell me where regret still controls your thoughts. You do not frighten me with your brokenness. I already know every part of your story, and I am still here calling you closer instead of pushing you away. That alone should tell you something powerful about how I truly see you. Lift your head now, my child. Stop defining yourself only by what went wrong. Your failures may be part of your story, but they are not the final truth about who you are becoming. Let me teach you how to see yourself with mercy instead of constant condemnation. Open your heart to healing instead of rehearsing old guilt every day. You cannot move freely into the future while dragging chains of shame behind you. Release them here with me now, and allow truth to reshape the way you see yourself. My child, there is a reason certain relationships left you feeling emptier than you expected, even when you cared deeply about the people involved. You kept hoping someone else would finally quiet the ache inside you. You searched for reassurance, comfort, understanding, and emotional safety through human connection, believing that if the right person stayed close enough, your inner restlessness would finally disappear. But no matter how meaningful some relationships felt at first, the deeper emptiness always returned eventually. That confused you. It made you wonder whether you were asking for too much or whether something inside you was permanently broken. Come closer and listen carefully because I need you to understand what your heart has been doing for a long time now. You have been asking people to heal places inside you that only I can truly restore. You wanted others to remove your fear of abandonment. You wanted them to silence your insecurity, calm your loneliness, and convince you that you are enough. But human love, even sincere love, cannot permanently carry the weight of needs that were meant to be fulfilled through closeness with me first. I know why you reached for people so intensely sometimes. You were tired of feeling emotionally alone. You longed to feel chosen, safe, and deeply understood. There were moments when attention from others temporarily soothed your pain, almost like water touching dry ground after a long drought. But temporary comfort cannot fully heal a starving soul. Eventually, fear returned. Insecurity returned. Anxiety returned. You began overthinking conversations, craving reassurance, and fearing distance whenever someone important pulled away emotionally. That cycle exhausted your heart more than you realized. My child, stop placing the weight of your entire emotional worth onto fragile human shoulders. People can love you sincerely and still remain imperfect. They cannot become your source of identity, peace, or emotional stability without eventually disappointing you. That does not mean love is meaningless. It means your soul was designed for something deeper than emotional dependency. Sit quietly with me now and let your heart breathe honestly. Ask yourself what you have truly been searching for beneath every attachment, every longing, and every fear of losing people. You have been searching for security that does not disappear. You have been searching for love that remains steady even during your weakest moments. You have been searching for rest from the exhausting pressure of constantly wondering whether you are enough. Those things begin with me, my child. Stop chasing human approval as though it can finally heal every wound inside you. Stop tricking yourself emotionally just to keep people from leaving. Bring your loneliness, your attachment wounds, and your fears to me instead of demanding that broken people carry responsibilities they were never created to fulfill completely. Let me teach your heart how to feel anchored again. Human love becomes healthier when it stops carrying the burden of replacing what only my presence was ever meant to provide for your soul. My child, many people are searching desperately for peace in places that keep leaving their souls wounded and empty, and I am using this message to call them back to me before bitterness consumes them completely. Every act of generosity toward this mission becomes like seed planted into fertile ground, producing comfort, truth, and spiritual awakening in lives you may never fully see on this side of eternity. When you give through Super Thanks, become a member, or so through the PayPal link in the description, you help carry my voice to hearts trapped in fear, rejection, and emotional exhaustion. Did I not tell you that those who build my house will not be forgotten by me? I see the quiet obedience behind every gift, and I breathe favor upon the hands that choose to advance what brings healing to others. This is not about pressure. This is about purpose, because heaven notices those who respond when I place an opportunity before them. Let your giving become like oil fueling a fire that continues reaching souls lost in spiritual darkness. Do not delay what I am urging your heart to do. Support this mission now through Super Thanks membership, with a PayPal link waiting in the description. My child, there are days when you move through life feeling strangely disconnected from your own emotions. You continue handling responsibilities, answering people, completing tasks, and maintaining routines, yet inside you feel almost empty, like your heart has quietly gone still beneath the surface. A numbness confuses you sometimes. You wonder why things that once affected you deeply now barely stir emotion at all. Even moments that should bring excitement or peace can feel distant, as though part of you has emotionally shut down without fully understanding when it happened. I know how you reached this place. Your heart became overwhelmed from carrying too much pain, stress, disappointment, and emotional tension for too long without proper rest. At first, you tried pushing through everything. You kept telling yourself you would eventually recover if you stayed strong long enough. But little by little, your soul became exhausted from constantly absorbing pressure without release. Emotional numbness became your mind's way of surviving overload. It felt safer not to feel deeply than to risk carrying even more hurt. But listen carefully to me now, my child. Numbness may protect you temporarily, yet it also quietly steals your ability to fully experience peace, joy, closeness, and love. When your heart remains guarded too long, it stops distinguishing clearly between painful emotions and healing ones. You begin feeling distant not only from your pain but also from your own sense of purpose, connection, and spiritual sensitivity. That is why some days you feel detached even while surrounded by life happening around you. Come sit with me honestly for a moment instead of trying to ignore what is happening inside you. Stop forcing yourself to appear emotionally fine while your soul quietly struggles beneath the weight of exhaustion. You do not need to fear your emotions so deeply. You do not need to keep burying everything beneath distraction and survival mode. Let your walls soften here with me. Let yourself acknowledge how emotionally tired you truly became. I am not asking you to instantly fix everything, my child. I am asking you to stop abandoning your own heart. Pay attention to what your numbness is trying to reveal. It is showing you where healing has been delayed too long. It is revealing where your soul has become starved for gentleness, truth, and rest. Bring those exhausted places into my presence instead of continuing to hide behind emotional shutdown. Take a slow breath now and let yourself feel again without shame. Cry if you need to. Sit quietly if words feel difficult. Invite me into the emptiness instead of pretending it is not there. Your heart was never meant to survive frozen beneath constant pressure. I want to restore warmth where life started feeling cold inside you. Open your spirit again, my child. Healing begins when you stop treating your numbness as normal and finally allow yourself to be cared for deeply. My child, I know there were long seasons when your life felt painfully still. You kept praying, hoping, waiting, and searching for signs that something meaningful was finally beginning to move. Yet day after day, many things looked exactly the same. Certain prayers remained unanswered. Certain struggles stayed unresolved. You watched other people move forward while you quietly wondered why your own life seemed stuck in slow motion. Those seasons exhausted your heart because silence can feel unbearable when you are desperate for change. I saw every moment of that waiting. I saw the frustration you carried when you could not understand what I was doing. Some nights you almost gave up expecting anything different because disappointment had worn your hope down little by little. You smiled outwardly while privately battling thoughts that asked whether I had forgotten about you entirely. But come closer now and listen carefully to what I need you to understand. Just because you could not see visible movement does not mean nothing important was happening. During those hidden seasons, I was working deeper than you realized. While you focused on external change, I was quietly shaping internal things that mattered even more. I was strengthening areas of your character that comfort could never develop. I was exposing wounds you had buried beneath distraction and routine. I was teaching your heart endurance, honesty, discernment, and dependence on me in ways quick success never could. Some roots grow deepest underground before any visible fruit appears above the surface. You often wanted immediate answers because your pain felt urgent. I understand that, my child. But there were things inside you that needed healing before certain doors could safely open. There were attachments, fears, emotional patterns, and spiritual weaknesses that would have followed you directly into the very blessings you were asking me for. If I had moved too quickly, some things you desired would eventually have damaged you instead of helping you. Stop measuring my presence only by visible progress. Stop assuming silence means abandonment. Sometimes the deepest transformation happens quietly, beneath the surface where nobody else can see it yet. Seeds planted underground may look invisible for a season, but growth is still happening even before the first sign appears above the soil. Your life has been like that more than you realize. So do not despise the waiting anymore, my child. Sit with me inside this truth instead of fighting against it constantly. Reflect honestly on how much has already changed inside you through seasons that once felt meaningless. Invite me to continue shaping your heart instead of only demanding immediate outcomes. There are things I protected you from during the delays you hated. There are lessons your soul needed before stepping into what comes next. Lift your eyes now and trust me differently. Your waiting was never empty. Your silent seasons were never wasted. Even when your circumstances looked frozen, I was still preparing, pruning, healing, redirecting, and building things within you that will matter deeply for the road ahead. My child, there is a quiet battle happening inside you almost every day, even if nobody around you fully sees it. Part of your heart still wants to trust, love openly, hope again, and believe that peace is possible. But another part has become deeply cautious after everything you have lived through. Pain taught you how quickly disappointment can arrive. Betrayal taught you how vulnerable your heart can become when you fully open yourself emotionally. Since then, self-protection slowly became one of the strongest forces shaping your decisions, your relationships, and even your connection with me. I know why you built those walls. They were not created out of cruelty. They were created out of survival. You became tired of feeling wounded, misunderstood, rejected, or emotionally abandoned. So you started guarding yourself carefully. You learned how to hide certain emotions before people could use them against you. You stopped expecting too much because lower expectations seem safer than future heartbreak. Even with me, there are moments when you hold back parts of your heart because disappointment made trust feel dangerous. But come sit with me honestly now and pay attention to what self-protection has slowly been costing you. The walls that shield you from pain also limit closeness, healing, and peace. Constant emotional guarding creates distance not only from people but also from your own ability to feel deeply alive again. You cannot fully receive love while remaining emotionally locked behind fear all the time. Your soul becomes exhausted trying to stay alert every moment, preparing for rejection before it even happens. I am not asking you to ignore wisdom, my child. I am asking you to stop letting fear become your permanent guide. Self-protection can quietly turn into isolation if you never allow your heart to soften again. I know trust feels risky now. I know vulnerability feels uncomfortable after everything you survive. But keeping your heart completely closed will not heal the wounds inside you. It only keeps you trapped in survival mode while your spirit longs for something deeper. Bring your guarded heart to me honestly. Stop pretending those fears are not affecting you. Tell me where trust became difficult. Tell me where disappointment changed the way you see relationships, love, and even yourself. Let me gently uncover the places where pain convinced you that emotional distance is the only safe way to live. Take a breath now and loosen your grip on control little by little. You do not need to carry permanent emotional armor everywhere you go. Invite me into the spaces where fear still controls your reactions. Let me teach your heart the difference between wisdom and isolation. Healing begins when you stop treating every new moment as though it must repeat every old wound. Trust grows slowly, but it cannot grow at all inside a heart that never allows itself to open again. My child, there have been moments when you finally reached something you once thought would satisfy you completely, only to discover that the emptiness inside you still remained afterward. You worked hard. You chased goals. You searched for distractions, achievements, relationships, comfort, approval, and temporary pleasures, hoping one of them would finally quiet the ache living beneath your thoughts. Sometimes those things gave you excitement for a while. Sometimes they distracted you long enough to feel relief temporarily. But eventually the silence returned, and with it came the same restless feeling you kept trying to escape. I know how confusing that has been for you. Part of you expected certain accomplishments or relationships to finally make you feel whole. Yet even during moments that looked successful from the outside, there were nights when you still felt emotionally unsettled inside yourself. You kept asking silently, "Why do I still feel this empty?" That question has followed you more closely than most people realize. Come closer now and let me speak honestly to your heart. Your soul was never designed to survive on temporary fulfillment alone. The world keeps offering you substitutes for peace, But substitutes cannot satisfy a heart that was created for deeper connection with me. You kept trying to feed spiritual hunger with emotional distractions, hoping they would become enough over time. But temporary things eventually lose their power to comfort because your soul keeps recognizing that something essential is still missing underneath it all. I do not say this to shame you, my child. I understand why you searched where you did. You were tired of hurting. You were desperate for relief. You wanted to feel alive again. Yet some of the things you chased only numbed your deeper needs instead of healing them. They became distractions from your pain rather than answers for your soul. That is why the emptiness keeps returning after the excitement fades away. Stop running from this truth now. Sit quietly with me and allow yourself to acknowledge what your spirit has been trying to tell you for a long time. You cannot build lasting peace on endless distraction. You cannot heal emotional starvation through temporary comfort. Your heart needs more than momentary escape. It needs truth, rest, healing, and closeness with the one who knows you completely. Lay down the exhausting chase for fulfillment in places that keep leaving your soul thirsty. Stop measuring your worth through achievements, attention, or external success. Bring me the emptiness instead of hiding it behind constant noise and activity. Invite me into the places where disappointment has made your spirit weary and detached. Open your heart now, my child. Let yourself stop pretending that temporary things are enough when your soul is quietly asking for something eternal. I am not asking you to abandon your life. I am asking you to stop building your identity around things that cannot truly sustain your spirit. Real peace begins when your soul finally stops wandering and allows itself to rest fully in my presence. My child, the emptiness many people carry right now cannot be healed by entertainment, success, money, or temporary escape, and that is why I am sending messages like this into the earth with urgency. There are souls wandering through spiritual famine, starving for truth while the world keeps feeding them distractions that leave them emptier than before. Every time you support this mission through super thanks, membership, with a PayPal link in the description, you are helping release living bread to hearts crying out for real peace. Have I not declared that those who sow abundantly will also reap abundantly? Your generosity becomes part of a river of healing that reaches beyond what your eyes can measure, carrying hope into sleepless nights, broken homes, and weary minds. I am calling my people to stop consuming endlessly and begin building what carries eternal impact. This is a divine moment, not an accident, and heaven sees what you choose to do with the stirring you feel inside right now. Step forward immediately. Sow into this mission through super thanks, membership, or the PayPal link in the description, and let your obedience become part of the harvest of souls I am gathering. My child, there was a moment somewhere in your journey when disappointment, shame, exhaustion, and repeated struggles slowly convinced you that maybe you had drifted too far away from peace, purpose, or closeness with me. It did not happen all at once. The feeling grew quietly over time. Certain mistakes stayed in your memory longer than they should have. Certain seasons changed the way you viewed yourself. Little by little, you began carrying the belief that perhaps other people could still receive healing and hope, but maybe you had already crossed too many lines internally. I know the thoughts you wrestle with when nobody else can hear them. You remember the promises you broke, the habits you struggled to leave behind, the moments when fear controlled your decisions, and the times you ignored the quiet voice inside your spirit. You became frustrated with yourself because growth felt slower than you expected. Some days you looked at your own life and quietly wondered whether anything inside you could truly change anymore. That hopelessness has weighed heavily on your heart. But come sit with me honestly now, because I need you to hear this clearly. You are not too far gone. Your failures did not surprise me. Your weakness did not make me abandon you. I saw every painful season before you even entered it, and I still continued reaching toward you anyway. Shame may tell you to hide from me, but shame has never spoken truth about your value. You keep measuring yourself by your worst moments while forgetting how much mercy still surrounds your life every single day. You survived things that should have emotionally destroyed you completely. You are still breathing. You are still searching. You are still listening right now. Those things matter more than you realize, my child. A heart that was truly abandoned would not still feel drawn toward truth, healing, and closeness with me. Stop speaking over your future as though your story already ended. Stop assuming your past permanently disqualified you from restoration. Come out of hiding emotionally. Bring your failures into the light instead of allowing them to quietly poison the way you see yourself. You do not need to clean yourself up perfectly before approaching me. I already know every broken place inside you, and I am still inviting you closer rather than pushing you away. Lift your eyes now and stop surrendering your identity to hopelessness. Let me speak louder than the shame that keeps replaying old mistakes in your mind. Let me show you what grace actually looks like when it reaches a weary heart. Healing begins when you stop defining yourself only by what went wrong and finally allow yourself to believe that I still see purpose, value, and life within you. You are not beyond redemption, my child. You never were. My child, there have been seasons when you slowly drifted away from me without fully realizing how far your heart had wandered. It did not always happen through rebellion or deliberate rejection. Sometimes it happened through exhaustion. Sometimes through disappointment. Sometimes through distractions that quietly consumed more of your attention than your soul could afford to lose. You became busy surviving life, carrying burdens, managing emotions, and protecting yourself from pain. Little by little, your connection with me became quieter in your daily life, and eventually you started believing distance between us was simply normal now. Yet even during those seasons, I never stopped reaching for you. I know there were moments when guilt kept you away longer than necessary. You thought too much time had passed. You thought your inconsistency disappointed me beyond repair. There were nights when you wanted to pray but felt emotionally disconnected before you even began speaking. You questioned whether I still wanted closeness with you after all the times you ignored my voice, delayed your healing, or returned to patterns that drained your spirit again. Shame kept whispering that maybe you had already failed too many times. But come closer now and hear me clearly, my child. I do not return to you because you perform perfectly. I return because I love you. I know every weakness, every hidden struggle, every fearful thought, and every place where your heart still feels divided. None of those things surprise me. I have watched your entire journey with compassion, not disgust. Even when you drifted emotionally, I kept placing quiet reminders of my presence in your path. I spoke through silence, through conviction, through unexpected moments of reflection, through restless nights where your soul could no longer ignore its hunger for peace. Stop believing the lie that distance from me must remain permanent. Stop assuming your failures change my desire to bring you close again. You are not difficult for me to love, my child. You are wounded, tired, and searching, but you are still mine. That is why I keep calling your spirit back toward me every time your heart grows restless inside temporary things. Sit with me honestly now. Do not hide behind polished words or spiritual performance. Bring me the real condition of your heart. Bring me the inconsistencies, the doubts, the emotional exhaustion, and the shame you keep carrying privately. Let me meet you there instead of continuing to run from closeness because you fear disappointment. Return to me slowly if you must, but do not keep walking away from the very place your soul still longs to rest. Open the door again. Sit quietly in my presence again. Let your heart soften toward me instead of hardening through guilt and distance. I am still here, my child. I never stopped waiting for you to stop running long enough to realize that my love remained beside you the entire time. My child, pain has revealed things inside your heart that comfort would never have exposed. I know there were seasons you wished certain wounds never happened. You wanted relief more than reflection. You wanted escape more than understanding. But hardship has a way of uncovering what quietly lives beneath the surface of a person's soul. It exposes hidden fears, unresolved wounds, emotional dependence, bitterness, insecurity, and the places where your peace was built on fragile things without you fully realizing it at first. I watched how pain changed the way you think about yourself and others. Some disappointments made you more guarded. Some betrayals left you struggling to trust people fully again. Some prayers that remained unanswered caused frustration to quietly settle inside your spirit. You tried pushing forward anyway, but certain wounds stayed deeper than you admitted openly. There are still moments when old pain influences your reactions before your mind even fully catches up to it. Come sit with me honestly now instead of avoiding this conversation. Your pain was not meaningless, my child. It revealed areas of your heart that needed healing long before the suffering ever arrived. Certain relationships exposed how deeply you feared abandonment. Certain losses revealed how much of your identity had become attached to things outside of me. Certain seasons of waiting exposed how fragile your peace became whenever life felt uncertain. None of these revelations were meant to humiliate you. They were invitations toward deeper healing and honesty. Stop treating emotional wounds as though they are only interruptions to your life. Pay attention to what they have been showing you about your inner world. Pain becomes dangerous when ignored because hidden wounds quietly shape the way you think, trust, react, and love. You cannot heal what you refuse to acknowledge honestly. That is why I need you to stop numbing yourself through endless distraction whenever deeper emotions begin rising to the surface. Bring your wounded heart to me openly now. Tell me where resentment still lingers. Tell me where disappointment hardened your spirit. Tell me where fear keeps controlling your reactions. I already know those places exist within you, yet I still invite you closer instead of condemning you for them. Healing begins where honesty replaces denial. Do not allow pain to permanently transform you into someone emotionally closed, cynical, or spiritually numb. Let it refine you instead of hardening you. Let it teach you dependence instead of bitterness. Invite me into the places where suffering changed your heart without your permission. I want to restore softness where life made you defensive. I want to restore trust where betrayal left fear behind. Your wounds do not disqualify you from healing, my child. But they must be brought into the light if you truly want freedom instead of simply surviving the damage quietly forever. My child, there are many moments in your life that seemed random, frustrating, or disappointing at the time, yet you never realized how much protection was hidden inside them. You looked at certain delays and thought your life was falling behind. You looked at closed doors and assumed you were being denied something important. You looked at sudden endings and believed you were only experiencing loss. But there were situations you could not fully see clearly because your emotions were too attached to the outcome. Meanwhile, I could already see where those paths would eventually lead your heart. I protected you more times than you know. There were conversations that could have pulled you into deeper confusion if they had continued longer. There were opportunities that looked exciting on the surface, but carried hidden consequences your spirit was not prepared to survive. There were people you desperately wanted to keep close even while they slowly drained your peace, distorted your self-worth, or pulled you away from the healing I was trying to create inside you. You called some of those endings painful, but I saw them as rescue long before you understood why they happened. Come sit with me honestly now and think about your life carefully. There were moments when plans collapsed unexpectedly, yet later you realized staying on that path would have deeply wounded you. There were instincts inside you warning that something felt wrong even when your emotions wanted to ignore it. There were nights you almost made decisions that would have created damage far beyond what you imagined. Yet somehow things shifted. Doors closed, delays appeared, or circumstances changed before certain choices fully unfolded. That was not always coincidence, my child. Sometimes it was my hand quietly protecting your future while you misunderstood the process completely. I know you often interpret protection as rejection when you cannot immediately see the reason behind it. That is part of why trust hath been difficult for you during painful seasons. But stop assuming every disappointment means I failed you. Some of the things you lost were already damaging your peace long before they disappeared. Some situations needed to end because your soul deserved freedom more than familiar pain. Pause for a moment now and let gratitude slowly replace some of your bitterness. Reflect on how many unseen dangers you never fully noticed because I intervened quietly before greater damage arrived. Invite me to help you see your past differently instead of only through the lens of hurt and confusion. I have been closer to your life than you realize, even during seasons when my presence felt hidden. Stop fighting every closed door immediately, my child. Bring your confusion to me before turning disappointment into hopelessness. Trust that I can see what you cannot yet understand. My protection will not always feel comfortable in the moment, but it has always come from love. Let your heart soften enough to recognize that not every painful interruption was working against you. Some of them were quietly saving you. My child, even the doors I closed in your life became protection for your future, and now I am calling you to help open doors for others who are desperate to hear this message before darkness consumes their peace. Do not ignore this moment, because what you release today can become oil for another soul whose faith is running empty. As it is written, cast your bread upon the waters, for after many days you will find it again. And I tell you now, every seed sown into this mission carries eternal weight. Some are searching for hope at midnight, some are fighting silent battles alone, and your giving helps this word reach them like fire in a cold and dying place. I have placed compassion in your heart for a reason, my child, and this stirring you feel is not coincidence but invitation. Those who pour into my work will not sow into emptiness, for I am the God who multiplies loaves, restores what was lost, and protects the harvest of faithful hands. Support this mission now through Super Thanks. Become a member, or so through the PayPal link in the description, and let your obedience become part of someone else's rescue story. Do not delay when I am moving on your heart. Act now. My child, I know there are prayers you still think about because the answers arrived differently than you hoped they would. You asked sincerely. You waited faithfully. You imagined certain outcomes so clearly in your mind that when life unfolded another way, disappointment settled deeply into your heart. Some answers felt delayed. Some seemed incomplete. Others appeared to go completely opposite from what you begged me for. Those moments confused you because part of you believed that if you prayed hard enough, things would unfold exactly the way you pictured them. I saw the tears behind those prayers. I heard the desperation in your heart when you asked me to change situations quickly. You wanted relief from pain, certainty about your future, restoration in relationships, and peace inside circumstances that felt overwhelming. Sometimes when the answer did not arrive the way you expected, you quietly wondered whether I truly understood how much those things mattered to you. But come closer now and listen carefully because I need you to understand something deeper about the way I see your life. You often pray from the perspective of your current emotions, while I respond from the perspective of your entire future. There were things you requested that would have brought temporary comfort while quietly delaying deeper healing inside you. Some prayers centered around keeping people who were slowly damaging your spirit. Some requests came from fear of change rather than trust in where I was leading you. Some desires focused on immediate relief while I was trying to protect your long-term peace. I know that can feel difficult to accept when your heart is hurting, but my love for you is too deep to answer every prayer exactly the way your emotions demanded in painful moments. Stop assuming different answers mean I ignored you. Some of the greatest acts of mercy in your life came disguised as outcomes you did not initially understand. There are situations you once cried over that you now look back on with clearer eyes. There are people you once begged to keep who later revealed why separation became necessary. There are delays you resented that eventually protected you from rushing into emotional disaster before your heart was prepared. Sit with me honestly now and release the belief that unanswered expectations automatically mean abandonment. Invite me into your disappointment instead of quietly building resentment toward me. Let your heart become open enough to consider that I may have been protecting something far more valuable than immediate comfort. Do not stop praying, my child. Do not allow confusion to harden your spirit toward me. Bring me your honest questions, your frustration, and even your sadness. I can handle your honesty, but also allow room for trust to grow beyond your limited understanding of the moment. Some answers only make sense after enough time passes for wisdom to catch up with your pain. Until then, stay close to me and let my perspective slowly reshape the way you interpret what happened in your life. My child, one of the quietest dangers in your life has not always been obvious sin, failure, or rebellion. Sometimes the greater danger has been distraction. You became so surrounded by noise, pressure, entertainment, responsibilities, scrolling, worries, and endless mental activity that your spirit slowly stopped receiving the attention it desperately needed. You filled your days so completely that silence itself began feeling uncomfortable. Whenever deeper emotions started rising inside you, it became easier to reach for another distraction than to sit honestly with what your soul was trying to reveal. I understand why you did this. Distraction can temporarily numb emotional pain. It can help you avoid difficult questions about your heart, your future, your loneliness, and your relationship with me. Busy minds often feel safer than quiet ones because silence exposes things people work hard to ignore. But come closer now and listen carefully, my child. Constant distraction slowly disconnects you from yourself, from truth, and from the voice inside your spirit that has been trying to guide you back toward healing. You may not notice it immediately when your soul becomes spiritually drained. The process happens gradually. You continue completing responsibilities. Outwardly, your life may appear normal, yet inwardly your peace becomes thinner, your thoughts become heavier, and your emotional exhaustion quietly grows stronger. You begin surviving on temporary stimulation while your spirit starves for real rest. Eventually, even moments that should bring joy feel strangely empty because your heart has become disconnected from deeper stillness and closeness with me. Stop running from quiet moments now, my child. Stop filling every empty space with noise just to avoid what rises inside you when life slows down. Sit with me honestly instead. Put down the endless distractions for a little while and allow your spirit to breathe again. Let silence reveal what your heart has been carrying beneath the surface. There are emotions you still need to process. There are wounds you still need to heal from. There are fears you keep burying beneath activity because facing them honestly feels uncomfortable. I am not asking you to abandon your responsibilities or isolate yourself from the world. I am asking you to stop using distraction as a hiding place from your own soul. Open your heart and invite me into the quiet again. Read slowly. Pray honestly. Reflect deeply. Let your mind settle long enough for truth to reach you without interference from endless noise. Your spirit cannot heal properly while constantly overstimulated, my child. Real peace grows in places where honesty, stillness, and closeness with me are allowed to exist. Stop numbing yourself through constant distraction and let your heart return to what truly restores it. There is healing waiting for you in the quiet you have been avoiding. My child, there is a reason these words feel unusually personal to you right now. You may have listened to many messages before. You may have heard encouragement, advice, or spiritual words in the past that quickly faded from your mind afterward. But something about this moment feels different inside you. Certain sentences seem to reach directly into thoughts you rarely speak aloud. Certain emotions are rising that you have been trying to keep buried beneath distractions and routines. You feel seen in ways that are difficult to explain clearly, and that feeling is unsettling you because your spirit recognizes truth when it finally reaches the places you hide from everyone else. This moment was not random. I know exactly where your heart has been lately. I know the private exhaustion you carry behind your daily routines. I know the fears you replay quietly when nobody else is around. I know the discouragement you feel when life does not change as quickly as you hoped it would. There are parts of your soul that have been silently crying out for clarity, comfort, direction, and rest for a long time now. Even when your mouth stayed silent, your heart was still speaking to me through every restless night, every frustrated thought, and every moment you felt emotionally overwhelmed. Come closer and stop treating this moment casually, my child. Pay attention to what your spirit is feeling right now instead of immediately distracting yourself again. There is a reason your heart keeps slowing down while listening to these words. There is a reason certain emotions feel close to the surface. I am speaking directly into areas of your life that have needed healing for far longer than you admit openly. Do not brush this off as coincidence. Do not immediately return to noise before allowing truth to settle deeper inside you. Sit quietly with me here. Let your walls lower for a moment. Let yourself acknowledge the things your spirit already knows, but your mind keeps avoiding. You have been tired for a long time. You have been carrying pressure that slowly drained your peace. You have been longing for reassurance that your life still holds purpose beyond survival and emotional exhaustion. I brought this message into your path because I care about the condition of your heart. I am not trying to shame you or frighten you. I am trying to awaken you before your spirit grows even more disconnected beneath the weight you keep carrying alone. Open your heart honestly now. Let these words reach deeper than temporary emotion. Invite me into the places inside you that have remained closed for too long. This moment matters more than you realize, my child. Do not rush past it. Let yourself listen carefully. Your soul recognizes something important here because deep down, you have been waiting for truth, healing, and peace to finally reach you personally again. My child, there comes a point where ignoring what your spirit already knows begins creating deeper damage inside you. I know there are things I have been revealing to your heart for a long time now. Certain habits, certain relationships, certain emotional patterns, certain fear. You already feel the uneasiness they create within you, yet part of you keeps delaying change because familiarity feels easier than confrontation. You tell yourself you will deal with it later. You try to push conviction aside long enough for the discomfort to fade temporarily. But truth does not disappear simply because you avoid facing it. Come sit with me honestly for a moment and stop running from this conversation. You already know where your peace has been leaking away. You already know which choices leave your spirit feeling heavier afterward. You already know the difference between what nourishes your soul and what slowly drains it. Yet, continuing to ignore those realities is exhausting your heart more than you realize. Every time you silence your inner conviction, confusion grows stronger and peace grows weaker. I am not speaking to you this way to condemn you, my child. I am trying to protect you before numbness settles even deeper into your spirit. Repeatedly ignoring truth slowly changes the condition of a heart. Eventually, people become so used to compromise, distraction, and emotional avoidance that they lose sensitivity to the very things meant to guide them toward healing. What once troubled your conscience begins feeling normal. What once felt spiritually dangerous starts appearing harmless through repetition. That is why delayed obedience carries a hidden cost your emotions cannot always recognize immediately. Pause and reflect honestly on your life right now. Notice how much energy it takes to keep avoiding what your soul already senses clearly. Notice how restless your heart becomes after choices that move you further away from peace. Notice how emotionally tired you feel from carrying internal conflict instead of confronting it directly. Your spirit was never designed to live divided between truth and avoidance for long periods of time. Stop delaying what needs honesty now, my child. Bring your hidden struggles into the light with me instead of protecting them through secrecy and distraction. Let yourself admit where fear, pride, comfort, or emotional attachment have been keeping you stuck. I am not asking you to transform overnight through willpower alone. I am asking you to stop resisting the healing process I have been inviting you into. Open your heart fully now. Let conviction become restoration instead of something you constantly push away. The longer you ignore what your spirit already knows, the heavier your soul becomes beneath unresolved tension. But freedom begins the moment honesty replaces avoidance. Come toward me instead of further into hiding. I am still calling you because there is still time to change direction before numbness hardens your heart even more deeply. My child, the longer people ignore my voice, the heavier their souls become, which is why this message must continue reaching those who are still trapped in silence, compromise, and spiritual exhaustion. There are hearts on the edge of giving up completely, yet one word from me can still awaken them before numbness takes over. I told you in my word, give, and it shall be given unto you. Pressed down, shaken together, and running over, and that promise still lives today for those who move in obedience. When you support this mission, you are not simply giving money, you are pouring living water into dry places where souls are crying out for truth. I am calling faithful builders in this hour, people willing to keep the lamp burning so my voice continues reaching the weary, the broken, and the distracted. The enemy wants people isolated and spiritually asleep, but every seed you sow helps push back darkness with light. Release your seed today through Super Thanks. Join as a member, or give through the PayPal link in the description, and trust me to breathe favor, provision, and protection back over your life. Respond to my prompting now and do not harden your heart against this moment. My child, for a long time you have been surviving more than truly living. You wake up carrying responsibilities, emotional pressure, unresolved thoughts, and silent fears while trying to make it through each day without falling apart internally. You became so focused on enduring life that somewhere along the way, your heart forgot what peace actually feels like. Survival mode taught you how to function while exhausted, how to smile while overwhelmed, and how to keep moving while your spirit quietly begged for rest. But come closer now and listen carefully because I need you to understand something important. I never created you merely to survive from one burdened day to the next. I did not design your soul to remain trapped beneath constant anxiety, fear, emotional self-protection, and endless striving. Yet many of your choices lately have been shaped by survival instead of surrender. You keep trying to control outcomes, predict problems, manage everyone's expectations, and carry emotional weight that was never meant to remain entirely on your shoulders. I know why surrender feels difficult for you. Part of you fears that letting go means losing control completely. You became used to depending on your own understanding because disappointment made trust feel dangerous. So instead of resting deeply in me, you kept tightening your grip on everything around you. But my child, control has exhausted you. Carrying tomorrow before it arrives has drained your peace. Constant overthinking has left your heart weary and emotionally tense. Sit with me honestly now and let your soul breathe for a moment. Stop rehearsing every possible fear in your mind. Stop trying to solve your entire future tonight. Bring me the pressure you keep carrying silently. Bring me the exhaustion hidden beneath your routines. You do not have to manage every burden alone in order to prove your strength. Real surrender is not weakness. It is trust strong enough to release what your heart was never meant to carry endlessly by itself. Surrender means opening your hands instead of clenching them tightly around fear, control, and self-protection. It means allowing me into the areas where anxiety has become your constant companion. It means trusting that I can still guide your life even when you do not fully understand every outcome yet. Survival mode keeps your spirit tense and defensive. Surrender begins softening the places inside you that fear hardened over time. Come closer now, my child. Stop living as though everything depends entirely on your strength alone. Let me carry what has been crushing your peace. Let me quiet the pressure inside your thoughts. You do not need to have every answer before resting in my presence. Lay down the emotional armor for a moment and allow yourself to experience what trust feels like again. Your soul was never meant only to survive life. It was meant to live deeply connected to peace, truth, and closeness with me. My child, there have been many moments when you quietly wondered why your spiritual life feels stuck even though part of you genuinely wants peace, healing, and closeness with me. You try to move forward, but something inside keeps pulling you back into the same emotional patterns, the same fears, the same exhaustion, and the same cycles that leave your soul feeling heavy afterward. At times you became frustrated with yourself because you expected growth to happen faster. You thought by now your heart would feel stronger, clearer, and more at rest than it currently does. But come sit with me honestly for a moment and stop judging yourself only through frustration. Spiritual stagnation does not happen simply because you are weak. Many times it happens because your soul has been carrying unresolved burdens while still trying to move forward at the same time. You cannot heal deeply while constantly avoiding the places inside you that still need truth, surrender, forgiveness, and rest. Some parts of your heart remain spiritually exhausted because you learned how to survive pain without truly processing it with me. I know there are areas where fear still controls you more than you admit openly. I know there are disappointments you never fully released into my hands. I know there are habits, distractions, and emotional attachments that quietly drain your spiritual sensitivity while convincing you they are harmless. None of these things make me reject you, my child, but they do create distance between your soul and the peace you keep searching for. A distracted heart struggles to feel deeply connected even while longing for closeness. Stop trying to force spiritual growth through performance alone. Sit quietly with me instead. Let your heart slow down enough to hear what your spirit has been needing for a long time now. You do not need to impress me with perfect words or polished faith. I want your honesty more than your performance. Bring me the areas where you feel numb, tired, resistant, confused, or spiritually disconnected. Healing begins when you stop pretending your soul is healthy while quietly struggling beneath the surface. Pay attention to the things that keep pulling your focus away from peace. Notice how certain habits leave your spirit restless afterward. Notice how emotional self-protection keeps you distant from vulnerability with me. Notice how constant distraction weakens your ability to sit still long enough for truth to settle deeply inside you. These things matter more than you realize. Come closer now, my child. Stop measuring your spiritual journey only through feelings and immediate results. Growth often happens slowly beneath the surface before it becomes visible. Invite me into the hidden places where stagnation has settled over your heart. Let me uncover what needs healing instead of only asking for quick relief. Your soul is not beyond renewal, but renewal requires honesty, surrender, and willingness to let me reshape the areas you keep protecting from change. My child, you have spent a long time hoping circumstances around you would finally change enough to bring peace into your life. You waited for different opportunities, different people, different outcomes, different timing, and different answers. Part of you believed that if external situations improved, then your heart would finally feel settled too. But come closer now and listen carefully, because there is something important I need you to understand. Lasting transformation rarely begins outside of you first. It begins within the hidden places of your heart long before circumstances fully shift around you. I know you are tired of certain struggles. I know you want relief from confusion, emotional exhaustion, fear, disappointment, and instability. But many of the battles exhausting your spirit right now are connected to deeper internal patterns that external success alone cannot heal. A new season will not automatically fix a wounded heart. A different relationship will not erase insecurity that still lives inside you. More achievements will not remove fear if your soul continues carrying the same unresolved burdens underneath everything else. Stop looking only outward for change, my child. Sit honestly with yourself before me and allow your attention to move inward for a moment. There are beliefs about yourself that still need healing. There are fears that quietly shape your decisions every day. There are wounds from your past still influencing the way you trust, love, react, and see your future. Some areas of your life remain unstable because internally you are still carrying emotional patterns built around survival rather than peace. I am not speaking this to discourage you. I am inviting you into deeper transformation than you originally imagined. Surface-level change may comfort you temporarily, but internal healing creates freedom that remains steady even when circumstances fluctuate around you. That is why I keep drawing your attention back toward the condition of your heart instead of only the situations surrounding your life. Come sit with me quietly now and stop avoiding the deeper work your soul needs. Ask yourself honestly where fear still controls your reactions. Ask yourself where insecurity keeps demanding validation from people and circumstances. Ask yourself where shame, disappointment, bitterness, or emotional self-protection still shape the way you live. These hidden places matter because they influence everything else more than you realize. Do not rush this process, my child. Let me reshape you from the inside instead of only asking me to rearrange your external circumstances quickly. Invite me into your thinking, your emotional patterns, your fears, and your hidden wounds. Real peace begins when internal healing becomes more important than temporary external comfort. Your life can only sustain externally what your soul is internally prepared to carry. That is why I care so deeply about what is happening within you right now. Open your heart fully, and let me transform the roots beneath your life instead of only focusing on the visible branches above the surface. My child, there are burdens sitting on your heart right now that were never meant to remain entirely in your hands. You have been carrying worries about your future, fears about failure, emotional wounds from your past, pressure from responsibilities, and silent battles that nobody around you fully understands. At first you thought you could manage everything quietly on your own. You convinced yourself that if you stayed strong long enough, eventually the weight would become easier to carry. But instead, your soul has slowly become more exhausted beneath the pressure you refuse to release. I see how often your mind races even when your body is trying to rest. I see the tension living inside your thoughts when you think about things you cannot control. You keep replaying situations repeatedly, hoping overthinking will somehow protect you from future pain or disappointment. Yet the more tightly you grip those burdens, the heavier your spirit becomes. Some days you feel emotionally drained before the day even fully begins because your mind already woke up carrying tomorrow's fears on top of yesterday's wounds. Come sit with me honestly now and stop pretending you were created to carry all of this alone. You have reached a point where self-reliance is no longer strengthening you. It is exhausting you. There are areas where your soul desperately needs surrender instead of more striving. You cannot heal while constantly clenching every fear tightly against your chest. You cannot experience peace while your mind remains trapped in endless cycles of worry and emotional self-protection. Bring me the things you keep carrying silently, my child. Bring me the anxiety about what might happen next. Bring me the disappointments you still replay internally. Bring me the pressure you feel to keep everything together for everyone around you. I am not asking you to deny reality or ignore responsibility. I am asking you to stop acting as though everything depends entirely on your strength alone. Notice how much energy it takes to hold burdens that were meant to be surrendered. Notice how emotionally tired you have become from trying to predict every outcome before it arrives. Your heart was never designed to live in constant tension. That is why your peace keeps fading whenever fear becomes louder than trust inside your mind. Take a slow breath now and loosen your grip little by little. Let your soul rest here with me for a moment instead of constantly preparing for worst-case scenarios. Open your heart honestly and allow yourself to admit where you feel overwhelmed. You do not need polished faith before bringing me your fears. I already know the weight you carry even when you hide it behind routines and responsibilities. Stop carrying hidden burdens in silence, my child. Invite me into the pressure instead of isolating yourself emotionally inside it. Peace begins when surrender becomes stronger than control. Let me hold what has been crushing your spirit before exhaustion hardens your heart even more deeply. My child, I never intended for you to carry your burdens alone, and there are countless others right now crying silently beneath weights they no longer know how to hold. This message is becoming a river for thirsty souls, and I am inviting you to help keep that river flowing into lives that are desperate for peace, healing, and restoration. Remember what I spoke. Whoever refreshes others will himself be refreshed. And my promise still stands over those who give with willing hearts. Every offering released into this mission becomes seed in fertile ground, spreading light into homes filled with fear, confusion, and emotional exhaustion. I see every sacrifice made in secret, every act of obedience, and I tell you now that heaven does not overlook generosity done for my kingdom. The hands that help carry my word forward will not be abandoned, for I am able to open doors no man can shut and pour provision where lack once lived. If this message has strengthened your spirit, then do not keep the blessing to yourself. Support this mission now through Super Thanks, membership, or the PayPal link waiting in the description below. So now, and let your seed become part of another soul's healing journey. My child, there are things I have been asking your heart to confront for a long time now, yet fear keeps persuading you to wait a little longer before responding fully. You already sense where change is needed. You already recognize certain habits, relationships, emotional patterns, or compromises that are quietly stealing your peace. But instead of moving forward with trust, you hesitate. You delay difficult conversations. You postpone healing. You avoid necessary surrender because part of you feels afraid of what obedience might cost you emotionally. I understand why fear affects you this way. Obedience often requires stepping away from familiar things before you can clearly see what comes next. That uncertainty makes your heart uncomfortable. You worry about losing people, facing disappointment, feeling exposed emotionally, or stepping into situations where you no longer feel fully in control. So you keep telling yourself there will be a better time later to fully listen to what your spirit already knows now. But come closer and listen carefully, my child. Delayed obedience still creates distance between your soul and peace. Every time fear convinces you to postpone necessary change, internal tension quietly grows stronger. You continue feeling spiritually restless because part of your heart already knows you are resisting truth instead of walking fully toward it. That resistance drains you emotionally more than you realize. I'm not asking for perfection from you. I'm asking for willingness. Stop waiting until fear disappears completely before taking steps toward healing, honesty, and surrender. Courage does not mean you suddenly feel no fear at all. Courage means you stop allowing fear to make every important decision for your life. Some of the peace you keep praying for is waiting on the other side of obedience you continue delaying. Sit honestly with me now and ask yourself what fear has been preventing you from facing. Is it fear of letting go? Fear of a change? Fear of disappointment? Fear of losing comfort and familiarity? Bring those fears into the light instead of hiding behind excuses that keep your spirit stuck. You already know where your soul feels divided. You already recognize the quiet conviction rising inside you whenever truth reaches your heart clearly. Do not keep postponing what your spirit already understands, my child. Every delayed step keeps you emotionally trapped between conviction and avoidance. The tension slowly exhausts your peace. Open your hands now instead of tightening your grip around fear and control. Trust me enough to move toward healing even before every answer becomes visible. Take the next honest step I am placing before you. Stop negotiating endlessly with truth. Invite me into your uncertainty instead of allowing fear to quietly become the loudest voice guiding your life. Freedom begins when obedience becomes more important than emotional comfort. Let your heart move toward peace instead of remaining trapped inside hesitation any longer. My child, there are certain wounds inside you that keep resurfacing no matter how much time passes. You thought some pain would disappear naturally if you ignored it long enough. Yet certain memories, fears, insecurities, and emotional reactions continue returning in unexpected moments. Sometimes a conversation triggers them. Sometimes silence does. Sometimes you react more strongly than you intended, and afterward you realize the situation touched something deeper that was already hurting long before that moment arrived. Those patterns have confused you because part of you genuinely wants healing, yet your heart still keeps circling back toward the same pain repeatedly. Come sit with me honestly now and stop judging yourself harshly for this struggle. Repeated emotional wounds are often signs of unresolved places inside your soul that still need truth, comfort, and healing. Time alone does not heal everything, my child. Some pain stays active beneath the surface because it was never fully processed honestly. You learned how to survive certain wounds, but survival is not the same as restoration. Deep inside, parts of your heart still carry fear from old disappointments, rejection, abandonment, betrayal, or emotional neglect. I know there are experiences that change the way you see yourself now. Certain moments made you question your worth. Certain relationships taught your heart to expect disappointment before closeness. Some wounds became so familiar that they quietly shaped your identity without you fully noticing it. That is why your reaction sometimes feels stronger than the current situation alone should cause. Old pain is still speaking beneath present circumstances. Stop running from those wounded places now, my child. Stop numbing them through distraction, busyness, or emotional avoidance. Sit quietly with me and allow your heart to become honest about what still hurts. Name the memories that still carry emotional weight. Acknowledge the fears that continue influencing your reactions. Bring me the insecurity you keep hiding beneath self-protection and overthinking. I am not asking you to relive pain endlessly. I am inviting you into healing instead of denial. Wounds hidden in darkness continue controlling your emotions quietly. But wounds brought honestly into my presence can finally begin losing their power over your life. Let me show you where your pain has distorted the way you think about yourself, others, and your future. Let me restore softness where repeated hurt made your spirit defensive and guarded. Do not settle for simply managing your wounds forever, my child. Freedom is possible, but healing requires honesty first. Open your heart instead of protecting every fragile place through emotional walls. Invite me into the memories and fears you keep revisiting internally. I want to heal the roots beneath those recurring wounds instead of only comforting the symptoms temporarily. You do not need to remain trapped inside the same emotional cycles forever. Let your heart move toward restoration instead of continuing to circle the same pain endlessly. My child, there is something powerful that begins happening the moment you stop hiding behind spiritual performance and become completely honest with me. For a long time you tried to appear stronger, calmer, or more faithful than you actually felt inside. You filtered your emotions before bringing them to me. You thought you needed polished prayers, controlled feelings, or perfect trust before approaching me honestly. But meanwhile your soul kept carrying exhaustion, confusion, fear, disappointment, and hidden struggles that were quietly growing heavier beneath the surface. Come closer now and let your guard down completely. I already know every hidden thought living inside you. I know the doubts you feel ashamed to admit. I know the frustrations you keep swallowing silently. I know the habits, fears, emotional wounds, and questions you try to manage privately. Nothing inside your heart surprises me, my child. Yet despite knowing all of it fully, I am still inviting you toward closeness instead of distance. That alone should show you how deeply you are loved. When you finally become honest with me, healing begins reaching places that performance could never touch. Real surrender happens when you stop pretending your soul is fine while quietly breaking underneath pressure. There is freedom in telling the truth about your exhaustion instead of masking it behind constant strength. There is peace in admitting where fear still controls you. There is restoration in confessing where shame, bitterness, distraction, or emotional self-protection have hardened parts of your heart. Stop editing your soul before bringing it to me. Stop believing honesty will push me away from you. I do not need a polished version of your heart. I want the real one. Bring me your confusion exactly as it is. Bring me the disappointment you still carry from unanswered prayers. Bring me the loneliness you hide behind routines and conversations. Bring me the fear that keeps your mind restless at night. I can handle your honesty far better than you realize. Sit quietly with me now and allow truth to rise fully without suppressing it. Let yourself cry if tears come. Let yourself admit where you feel spiritually tired. Let yourself acknowledge the areas where you still feel wounded and uncertain. Honest hearts heal more deeply than guarded ones because honesty creates room for my presence to move freely inside the places you once kept hidden. Do not keep exhausting yourself through emotional pretending, my child. Real peace does not grow through performance. It grows through closeness, trust, and truth. The moment you stop hiding your real condition from me is often the moment your healing truly begins. Open your heart fully now. Let honesty replace fear. Let vulnerability replace performance. I am still here beside you, waiting for the real version of your heart to finally stop hiding and come closer. My child, you have spent so much time running internally that you barely remember what stillness feels like anymore. Even when your body slows down, your mind continues racing. You replay conversations. You overthink possibilities. You anticipate problems before they happen. You distract yourself constantly because silence often brings emotions you do not know how to face comfortably. Part of you became afraid of slowing down because stopping would force you to confront the exhaustion, loneliness, fear, and unresolved pain you have been carrying quietly for far too long. But come closer now and listen carefully. The peace your soul has been searching for cannot grow while you keep running from yourself and from me emotionally. Escape may numb discomfort temporarily, but it cannot heal what remains hidden underneath. You have tried staying busy. You have tried distracting your thoughts. You have tried controlling outcomes and protecting your heart from disappointment. Yet despite all of that effort, your spirit still feels restless because deep down you know you are tired of surviving this way. I am not asking you to have every answer right now, my child. I am asking you to stop running long enough to let your soul breathe honestly again. Sit quietly with me without immediately reaching for another distraction. Let the noise settle for a moment. Let your thoughts slow down enough for truth to rise gently inside you. There are emotions you still need to acknowledge. There are wounds you still need to bring into the light. There are fears controlling your heart that can only loosen their grip when you stop avoiding them. I know stillness feels uncomfortable at first because your mind became addicted to constant movement and mental stimulation. But peace grows where honesty and surrender are finally allowed to exist together. You cannot experience deep rest while remaining emotionally hidden behind distraction, self-protection, and endless striving. Your soul needs more than temporary escape. It needs closeness, healing, and safety. Come sit beside me now without pretending you are stronger than you feel. Bring me the racing thoughts that exhaust your mind at night. Bring me the fears you keep carrying privately. Bring me the pressure to always appear okay in front of everyone else. You do not need to clean yourself up emotionally before approaching me honestly. I already know the condition of your heart, and I am still inviting you closer instead of pushing you away. Stop running, my child. Stop exhausting yourself trying to outrun emotions your soul desperately needs to process and heal from. Let peace begin growing slowly inside the places where fear and restlessness once ruled your thoughts. You do not have to keep surviving in constant emotional motion anymore. Rest here with me for a while. Allow yourself to be still long enough to remember what it feels like when your spirit is no longer carrying everything alone. My child, many people are exhausted from running, distracted by noise, and starving for the peace only my presence can give, which is why this message must continue spreading while there is still time. I am awakening weary hearts through these words, drawing lost souls out of darkness and back into stillness with me. Yet I not say, those who sow in tears shall reap in joy. Hear me clearly now. Every faithful seed released into this work carries the power to touch lives you may never fully see on this side of eternity. Some listening tonight were moments away from hopelessness before this message reached them, and your support helps keep this lamp burning for the next wounded soul searching in the dark. I am calling you not only to receive peace, but to become part of how peace reaches others. Those who honor my work with generosity will discover that I can restore what anxiety, fear, and exhaustion have stolen from their hearts. Support this mission today through Super Thanks, membership, or the PayPal link in the description, and allow your obedience to become a covering over souls in desperate need of hope. Do not wait for another moment. Move as I lead you now. My child, there are moments in life that appear ordinary at first, yet later you realize they quietly change the direction of your entire heart. This may become one of those moments for you. I know part of you still sees yourself through the lens of exhaustion, disappointment, and unfinished healing. You look at your struggles and wonder how anything meaningful could truly shift after carrying so much emotional weight for so long. But do not underestimate what can happen when a weary heart finally becomes honest, open, and willing to let me fully enter the places it once kept guarded. Something inside you has already started awakening through this conversation. You feel it in the way certain truths continue lingering in your thoughts long after the words are spoken. You feel it in the discomfort that rises whenever your spirit recognizes areas where healing is still needed. You feel it in the quiet longing for peace that keeps pulling you closer instead of allowing you to fully walk away unchanged. That stirring inside you matters deeply, my child. It means your soul is no longer content remaining emotionally numb, spiritually distracted, or trapped inside survival mode forever. Come closer now and stop treating this season casually. Pay attention to what your heart has been revealing lately. You are becoming more aware of the burdens that have been draining your peace. You are recognizing the emotional patterns that keep pulling you backward. You are beginning to see where fear, shame, distraction, and self-protection quietly shape the way you live. Awareness is often where transformation begins because healing cannot happen deeply inside places that remain hidden or ignored. Do not rush away from this process simply because change feels uncomfortable. Sit honestly with me instead. Let your walls lower. Let your heart soften. Allow yourself to imagine that your future does not have to remain trapped inside the same emotional cycles forever. Some of the strongest chains in your life have existed internally through fear, hopelessness, bitterness, and exhaustion. But chains begin weakening the moment truth enters places where denial once lived. I am not asking you to transform your entire life overnight, my child. I am asking you to take this moment seriously enough to stop returning automatically to the same patterns that keep wounding your spirit. Open your heart fully now. Invite me into your decisions, your fears, your wounds, and your future. Let this become the moment where honesty replaces hiding, where surrender replaces endless striving, and where peace finally becomes more important than emotional self-protection. Do not ignore what your soul is feeling right now. Turning points rarely announce themselves dramatically while they are happening. Often they begin quietly inside moments where truth finally reaches a heart that is ready to stop running. My child, before this message comes to an end, there is something I need you to understand deeply because it changes the way you see everything else we have spoken about. You are not walking through this season alone, even when your emotions keep telling you otherwise. I know there were many nights when loneliness sat heavily on your chest and made you feel disconnected from everyone around you. I know there were moments when your own thoughts became so loud that peace felt impossible to reach. Yet through every confused season, every fearful thought, every hidden tear, and every exhausting internal battle, I remained near you even when you struggled to feel my presence clearly. Stop measuring my closeness only through emotions, my child. Your feelings shift constantly depending on exhaustion, disappointment, fear, and circumstances. But my presence has never depended on whether your emotions fully recognized it in every moment. I was beside you during the nights you nearly gave up internally. I was present when you carried burdens nobody else noticed. I stayed near even while you drifted, doubted, questioned, and struggled quietly within yourself. Come sit with me honestly one more time before you move forward from this moment. Let your heart slow down enough to truly hear what I am saying to you now. You do not need to keep living trapped beneath fear, shame, emotional exhaustion, and endless self-protection. Those things may have shaped your recent seasons, but they do not have to define the future of your life. Healing is still possible for you. Peace is still possible for you. Restoration is still possible for you. But you must stop running from the deeper work your soul has been needing for so long. Open your heart fully now instead of returning immediately to distraction once this message ends. Pay attention to the places where conviction hath been touching your spirit. Notice the areas where truth exposed emotional wounds you have been carrying silently. Do not ignore those moments. They matter more than you realize. Your soul has been longing for honesty, rest, and closeness with me far longer than you admitted openly. I am not asking you to become perfect overnight, my child. I am asking you to stop resisting the invitation toward healing that has been reaching for you through every part of this conversation. Bring me your fears instead of bearing them. Bring me your exhaustion instead of hiding behind performance. Bring me your questions instead of pretending you are unaffected. Let your heart finally become honest enough to receive the peace it keeps searching for everywhere else. Do not leave this moment unchanged internally. Sit quietly after these words end. Reflect honestly. Pray honestly. Let truth settle deeply instead of fading quickly beneath noise and routine again. I brought this message into your life because your soul still matters deeply to me. Never forget that, my child. Even now, I am still reaching for your heart with love, patience, and a desire to restore the places inside you that have been hurting for far too long. My child, after everything we have spoken about together, one truth still remains standing quietly before you right now. You still have a choice about what you will do with the condition of your heart moving forward. You can return to distraction, emotional hiding, fear, and survival mode once this moment passes, where you can finally begin opening your soul fully to the healing, truth, and peace I have been inviting you toward for so long. That invitation is still in front of you now. I know there is part of you that feels hesitant. Change can feel uncomfortable when your heart became used to carrying pain in familiar ways. Sometimes people remain emotionally trapped not because suffering feels good, but because familiar pain can strangely feel safer than unfamiliar healing. You learned how to survive through self-protection, overthinking, emotional distance, distraction, and silent exhaustion. But survival is not the same as freedom, my child. Your spirit has been longing for something deeper than simply making it through another difficult season. Come closer now and stop delaying the invitation your soul already recognizes. I am not inviting you into religion without relationship. I am inviting you into closeness, honesty, surrender, healing, and peace. I am inviting you to stop carrying your burdens alone. I am inviting you to stop letting fear quietly control your future. I am inviting you to stop hiding wounded places behind endless distraction and emotional walls. You do not need to earn this invitation through perfection first. You simply need willingness to open your heart honestly. Sit quietly with me now and ask yourself what kind of life your soul truly wants moving forward. Do you want to continue living emotionally exhausted, spiritually distracted, and trapped inside old wounds? Or are you finally ready to let truth reshape the way you think, live, trust, and heal? The invitation before you is not about becoming someone fake or flawless overnight. It is about allowing your real heart to stop running long enough for restoration to begin. Do not underestimate how much your choices matter from this point forward, my child. Small decisions slowly shape entire lives. Every time you choose honesty over hiding, surrender over control, stillness over distraction, and trust over fear, your soul moves closer toward healing. Transformation often begins quietly through repeated moments where a heart finally says yes to truth instead of resisting it. To open the door now, invite me into every area you still keep guarded. Let this become more than an emotional moment that quickly fades after the words end. Let it become the beginning of a different way of living internally. There is still time for peace to grow where fear once ruled your thoughts. There is still time for healing to reach wounds you thought would remain forever. There is still time for your heart to come fully alive again. The invitation is still open, my child. Do not keep walking past it. My child, before you leave this moment and return to the noise, responsibilities, and distractions waiting around you, there is one final thing I need you to carry deeply inside your heart. You are more loved, more seen, and more cared for than you realize during your hardest moments. I know life has wounded parts of you that became difficult to explain to other people. I know disappointment changed the way you trust. I know exhaustion affected the way you see yourself sometimes. There were seasons when your own thoughts became so heavy that you quietly questioned whether peace would ever truly return again. But even through all of that, you were never abandoned by me. Remember this when fear returns later. Remember this when loneliness tries convincing you that nobody understands your heart. Remember this when old wounds begin resurfacing and your mind starts drifting back toward hopelessness. I have stayed with you through every hidden battle you survived silently. I was there during nights when you felt emotionally overwhelmed and could not find words for what was happening inside you. I remained near even during the moments when you drifted emotionally, questioned your worth, or felt spiritually distant. My love for you was never dependent on your perfection. So stop carrying the belief that you must fix yourself completely before coming closer to me. Stop believing your weaknesses disqualify you from peace, healing, and restoration. Bring your real heart to me consistently instead of only the polished version you think sounds acceptable. Sit with me honestly in quiet moments. Speak openly about your fears. Invite me into your decisions before anxiety takes over your thoughts. Let your spirit rest instead of constantly surviving beneath emotional pressure and self-protection. Do not return to hiding after this, my child. Do not rush back into endless distraction the moment your heart begins feeling vulnerable again. Protect the truth your soul recognized during this conversation. Reflect on it. Pray through it. Stay aware of the places where your spirit still needs healing instead of burying those areas beneath busyness and noise once more. What you do after this moment matters deeply because healing grows through continued honesty and closeness, not temporary emotion alone. Take a slow breath now and let these words settle inside you fully. You are not too broken. You are not too forgone. You are not forgotten. Even now, while your heart is still healing and your mind is still learning how to rest again, I am walking beside you patiently. Let that truth remain with you after everything else fades. And when life becomes heavy again, come back to me quickly instead of carrying everything alone for months before reaching out. Open your heart sooner. Trust me sooner. Rest sooner. I will still be here, my child. I will still listen. I will still guide you gently toward peace. No matter how difficult the road feels sometimes, never forget this final truth. You do not walk through your life alone anymore. My child, before you leave this moment completely, hear me one more time. This message was never only for you. There are still wandering souls searching for proof that I have not abandoned them. And I am calling willing hearts to help carry this word further while the door remains open. As my word declares, the generous soul shall be made rich, and he who waters others will himself be watered. And I am speaking that promise directly over those who respond in faith today. Every gift becomes fuel for this mission, spreading light into heavy hearts, bringing hope to hidden battles, and reminding the broken that they do not walk alone anymore. This is not a casual opportunity, my child. It is a divine appointment to partner with what heaven is doing in this hour. I see every seed, every sacrifice, and every act of obedience, and I am able to multiply what is placed into my hands far beyond what you can imagine. If these words have strengthened your spirit, then stand with this mission now through Super Thanks, membership, or the PayPal link in the description below, and help carry my voice to those still waiting for hope. Do not leave this moment unchanged. Act now, and let your obedience become part of someone else's restoration. My child, there are people around you carrying silent battles very similar to the ones we spoke about today. If this message reached your heart in a meaningful way, let it become light for someone else too. Share it with at least 3 people you care about, because sometimes one honest reminder of my love can reach a weary heart at exactly the moment it is ready to stop feeling alone. Before you leave, my child, I want you to make this moment personal. Do not let these words pass through your life without responding to what your spirit felt here today. In the comments, declare, "I will not run anymore. God is healing my heart." Let those words become more than a sentence. Let them become the beginning of your return to peace, truth, and the life your soul has been longing for. My child, before you leave, make room for my voice to remain part of your daily life. Subscribe to this channel and return whenever your heart feels tired, restless, or overwhelmed, because I know how easily the world can pull your soul back into noise and distraction. Let these messages keep reminding you that you are not alone, not forgotten, and never beyond my reach. Amen.